Dear introverts, you need to be aware of gaslighting. Here's 3 examples. Number 1 is being left out of meetings. Number 2 is being asked why you're upset. And number 3 is people saying, we've been through this before. Let's break this down. So number 1 is being left out of meetings. And this can be heartbreaking. What happens is you hear about meetings secondhand. People start gossiping or laughing about things that transpired in meetings. And you have no idea what's been happening. And what hurts even more is these people are in the same team as you. So you would have expected to be in that meeting. But for some reason, you've been left out. I remember a few years ago, about 8 years ago, I had this exact experience. There's this guy, this manager, let's call him Tim. Now Tim, this manager, had a protege who was in the same team as me, Sonia. And for some reason, Tim took a liking to Sonia, but took a disliking to me. And I remember one day, I was walking down the corridor and Tim and Sonia came out of this meeting. And I remember the look on their faces. It almost looked, they were like embarrassed. They looked down at the floor, avoided eye contact with me, and just hurried down the corridor. And I was like, this is unusual. Why are they looking so embarrassed? But then later on, I intuited that this is because they were having a secret meeting without me, involving other people in the department. And basically, this was a way to reduce my influence. So why do managers do this? Why do they leave you out of meetings? It's because they want to reduce the chances of you making them look incompetent. Because they know that you are smart, especially as an introvert. You can think of the right things to say, and you're very good at picking up on patterns and behaviors. So if they don't understand things, they don't see the big picture, and they're not on top of their systems, they'll feel intimidated that you're gonna show them up in a meeting. So the easiest thing for them to do is to just put you on a back burner and give you work to do that's not front facing, and that allows them to grow their influence. So a lot of insecure managers, especially people who are younger, maybe a manager is only a few years older than you, they're more likely to do this. Now the solution to this is actually unintuitive, and that is just pretend that nothing is happening. That's something that I did, and it worked to great effect. I just saw it, and when they were talking about the meeting or talking about things that I had no clue, I'll just pretend I'm just doing my work and just ignore it, almost like if I was deaf to what they were saying. And what this does is it stops you from cornering the leopard. Now, cornering the leopard is my term for when you have a dangerous animal. A dangerous animal that's cornered is going to lash out and is going to do things that are even worse. So the worst thing you can do is to call them out or to confront them on something like this. Let them be like this. Just leave your manager to be like that, and you just do your work as it is. And you can always move on to another company, or you can always move into somewhere that's better, that's going to appreciate you. By the way, if you like the way I break down this content step by step, I do the exact same thing in my custom introvert strategies plan. You can hit me up on introvertstrategies@gmail.com. Okay, let's get going. Number 2, why are you upset? This one is the most frustrating and most annoying thing that I've experienced as an introvert. And this is something that is very petty and sort of immature. I experienced this specifically back in the day when I used to work in a factory, in a warehouse. You may experience this when you're first starting off in the workplace in sort of lower or less organized companies, because these are places where the consequences of things happening are kind of low. So as I said, I experienced this when I was working in a warehouse over 10 years ago. And basically it's where people disrespect you or do things that are shady to disrespect you. And then when you're obviously showing visible signs of that disrespect, you're showing signs of being upset, the people turn around and ask you, why are you upset? Almost like if you're crazy or delusional or being human and not showing any signs of emotion. One of the ways to do this is they'll start treating you with like major respect, or they're joking around with you, and then the next day or another time they just start disrespecting you, giving you orders to do stuff, being hypercritical about your work, and that can make you feel like you're confused. Basically a form of gaslighting. Now, I've always thought about why are these people doing this? What's going through their mind when they do this kind of thing? Basically, this is a way for them to subconsciously put space between you and them because they feel that they're getting too close to you. And so they've got to do something to kind of create some space. But unfortunately, they go too far by upsetting you. But they're embarrassed and don't know how to close the space back again. So for them, instead of taking responsibility like an adult and apologizing about their bad behavior, they decide to take it on you and basically cause you to feel like you're the one to blame. So they ask you why you're upset to close that gap. So you can see the immature mindset that's going through these people's minds. So that leads to the best way to deal with this. First of all, before this even happens, just a preventative action, do not get close to people like this. When you start to see these kinds of signs of behavior, it's time to distance yourself from people like this and limit the kind of things you talk to them about. You should be keeping it very high level. Do not become best friends with these kind of people. Keep things very high level. The second thing, when it does actually happen as a reactive kind of measure, is ignore it. When they say, why are you upset? Just ignore it. Because these people are scared. That's the reason why they're saying, why are you upset? So you have the power. So you can be silent and ignore their question and wait for them to be respectful and adult and apologize or say something that's mature. You ignore it and you get on in your day and just get on with what you're doing. And one thing that you may see as a reaction is they may start like saying, ooh, someone's upset, ooh. They may make these kind of over-exuberant reactions to the way you're holding frame. But you should maintain that frame, because you know you're being the adult and they're the ones who are being immature. By the way, please comment down your experiences below. I'd love to hear what kind of things you as an introvert have faced in terms of gaslighting and how you have dealt with these kind of issues. Finally, we've been through this before. This is something that I've only started experiencing later on in my career, and this is very pernicious. This is when you got someone who's very smart and they're trying to make you feel stupid. In my experience, I remember I had an experience with someone, let's call him Stuart. Now, this guy called Stuart, he was telling me, he used to train me on how to do tasks. I was learning how to do these tasks, and suddenly it dawned on him that I'm smarter than he thought. And this is the first key. When people start doing this, they're gonna be basically thinking that you're quite dumb at the start, but then realize you're actually really smart. So what is this? We've been through this before. What happens is you get given a new task by this person and you're not sure what this task is. This is completely new to you. And then you ask this person for clarity, but then they say to you, we've been through this before. I've trained you on this before. And obviously you're confused because you haven't been trained by this person on this task before. And what this is a way for them to make you feel stupid, because they're realizing that you're learning too quickly, you're learning too fast, and you're learning more unexpectedly than they thought you would. So they've got to slow you down and put you down in your place. So essentially, they're intimidated by your intelligence. Now, the best way to deal with this, in my experience, is to keep a training log. So if you're working in a job that's like desk-based, it's an office-based role, you can open a Word file, and whenever someone trains you on something, make notes in that Word file. So you can refer to those notes whenever someone says they're trained you and be like, according to my training log, I don't see anything where we've been trained on this or we discuss this. And that would silence them, and maybe they'll react again, but it's gonna lower that feeling of animosity because they know that, oh shoot, he's onto something, he's onto my game. If, however, you're working in a warehouse or some sort of factory, the best thing to just ask someone else. Ask someone else, because most of the time these kind of tasks are shared between people. And if it's not shared between people, you can just ask them to clarify again, because the consequences are low, really. You can act stupid and you'd be like, I'm not sure, I can't remember, can you train me, can you show me again? It's not going to do you any harm, because at least you're going to learn how to do this skill, and that's gonna make you smarter in the long term in this workplace. So yeah, once again, hit me up on introvertstrategies@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to show you some plans and strategies to dealing with these kind of situations. With that said, take care, peace.